Hello and welcome to the CDO magazine interview series. I'm Mitchell Roberts with TripleBlind, the software company solving private data sharing, and we're partnering with CDO magazine, MIT CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Cameron Davies, Chief Data Officer at Yum Brands, which of course operates the Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut franchises, among others. Cameron, it's so nice to be speaking with you today.
Thanks, Mitchell. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, of course. Well, let's just kick it off. I've got a few questions here to ask you, so I'll just go ahead and get started. So Yum Brands, as we know, has an enormous global footprint with presence in over 150 countries. Could you describe the company's global footprint and what the implications are on managing data and analytics?
Yeah, thanks, Mitchell. It's enormous. I mean, you mentioned it. We've got actually 4 brands that operate in 150 different countries, over 50,000 stores. We largely operate in a decentralized manner, letting our brands run their businesses, which we think is the best way to manage the business at a local level. We've got somewhere over 2,000 franchisees that own 98% of our stores, which means they're the ones running the 1.5 million employees around the world. So it's big, it's enormous, it's a complex business structure, but it also creates a lot of opportunity. As you can imagine, when you think about data, the size of our data, the flows of our data, and what you can do with it. So the implications are fairly material. They really are, and how you think about how you run that business, how you gather that data, and how it flows and how you scale it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's really interesting to think about, data strategy on a global level, because it comes with, you're dealing with like a treasure trove of data from all these different places and all these different brands, and, bringing it together and making sense of it. And it's a huge opportunity. And of course, definitely a challenge, and it's a good spot to be in, kind of managing that. So my next question for you is, how would you define the role of a global data and analytics leader? And what makes the role of a global DNA leader unique and or more challenging than someone more regionally focused?
Yeah, neither of them are easy. Let's be honest, whether you're at a regional level or a business level or a global level. I think at a regional level, the things that are distinct is that you tend to be able to be a lot more focused into the priorities of your region. So it's a little bit easier to see those, not always easy, but a little bit easier to see those. You're entering through a direct global GM, like here's what we're trying to do in this region or in this country. You know generally where your data is at and how it flows. So you understand what it means because you're close to it every day. So the ability to set those priorities, really prioritize around that business. You always keep an eye to scale and and shareability across the enterprise, but your priorities are really about your priorities because that's what you're paid and directed to go do. Once you move up to a global level, it changes the nature of it. I don't control anything at that level. So it's now about influence. It's now about relationships and how you get the work done. We have a set of filters that we're very tied in on how we perform and whether or not it's scalable, whether or not it's strategic, and how it fits to other parts of the business. And so that means we have to kind of be laser focused with those priorities. It means I spent a ton of time with both the brand and regional levels, CTOs, CMOs, CFOs, to really understand what their priorities are. What are they trying to accomplish within their business? What are their business problems? What are those common connective tissues? So we make sure that we're working on the things that benefit the most people the fastest as we go decide what we're going to work on as a global team. So it just changes the nature of what you do. Neither of them are easier, but it just changes how you have to go about getting it done in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting way to think about it. As you think of a typical, maybe a regionally focused chief data officer as somebody making all the decisions. What are we doing with our data? What are we doing with our analytics? How are we doing it? But it sounds like in your position on the global scale, it becomes more an influencer role, kind of have to become an expert delegator, make sure people are making the right decisions, because there's no way to practically make all those decisions by yourself. So it's a really interesting way to think about it.
And you got to balance it out. I mean, at some point, you can't force anybody to do something that's negative to their business or weight. But how do you balance out the greater good toward the local good? It's always top of mind.